I still remember the sound of their voices that night. Cold, final, rehearsed, as if they'd been waiting for a reason to cut me loose. And now, 20 years later, those same voices trembled on my front porch. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Emotional hook, present day. My mother stood there first, clutching her purse like a fragile secret. My father hovered behind her, stiff as the judgment he built his life on. "We want to meet him," my mother whispered. "Your son, our grandson." I let the silence sharpen, not out of cruelty, but out of memory. "Are you sure?" I asked quietly. "He's not what you think." Backstory setup. When I got pregnant at 16, it wasn't a scandal, it was an execution. They didn't yell, they didn't cry. They simply opened the door and pointed out. "You made your choice," my father said. "Now live with it." I did, alone. The father of my child disappeared within days. A rumor in sneakers. A name carved into a desk. A boy who called himself a man until life asked him to prove it. I raised my son with the kind of hunger that makes you sharp, the kind of loneliness that turns you into steel. Discovery of betrayal. But the betrayal didn't come from the boy who left me pregnant. It came years later, from the people who pretended they'd forgiven themselves. When my son turned 18, he started getting emails. Anonymous, cryptic, ugly. "Your mother ruined our lives. She trapped your father. Ask her why she lied." At first, I thought it was a mistake, a prank, until I traced the IP address. It came from my parents' house. I stared at the screen for a long time, not shocked, just illuminated. They weren't just ashamed of me. They were rewriting the story, trying to poison my son the way they once poisoned me. Shift in mindset. I didn't confront them, not then. Anger is loud, revenge is quiet, and I had grown very, very quiet. I spent months preparing, collecting every message, every lie, every attempt to claw back the control they once had over me. I wasn't planning to hurt them, just show them what truth looked like when stripped of excuses. Execution of the plan. First, I told my son everything, not as a victim, as a witness. He listened. He didn't flinch. He didn't pity me. He simply said, "You raised me better than them." And then he disappeared for a few months. Not physically, just emotionally. He didn't visit them, didn't call, didn't respond. I knew what he was doing, and I didn't stop him. He was building his own silence. And silence can be the most violent truth. Meanwhile, I filed a harmless, perfectly legal request, a restraining awareness order that documented their harassment. Not a restraining order, just the step before one. It left a permanent mark on their records, a warning, a shadow. They didn't know it yet. Climax and confrontation, return to present. So now, 20 years later, they stood on my porch, acting like grandparents. "We just want to see him," my father said. He tried to make his voice stern, but fear leaked through the cracks. I stepped aside and let them in. My son waited in the living room, tall, calm, eyes sharp enough to split a lie in half. When they saw him, their faces softened, until he spoke. "I know what you wrote," he said. "I know what you tried to turn me against her. And I want to make something clear. You're not my grandparents. You're just two strangers who once had a daughter and threw her away." My mother's face collapsed. My father swallowed a lifetime of pride. Then my son handed them a copy of the documented harassment notice. "This," he said, "is why you'll never see me again." I didn't have to say a word. My revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was simply truth, unfiltered, undeniable, returned to sender. They left without looking back, just like they did 20 years ago. But this time, I wasn't the one being abandoned. I closed the door. My son exhaled. The house fell into a peaceful, earned silence. And for the first time in 2 decades, I felt the weight leave my chest. Not because they were gone, but because I finally understood something. I never needed their love to survive. I only needed the strength to outgrow it, and I did.